The lights of the arena were blood red. The air was heavy, filled with that strange mix of anticipation and betrayal that only pro wrestling could create. And in the middle of it all, Seth freaking Rollins stood, clutching the World Heavyweight Championship against his chest, his eyes wide, sweat dripping down his face like guilt. The crowd's roar was thunderous, but there was something different in the noise tonight. Something venomous. Because standing just a few feet away was Paul Heyman, smirking, breathing slow, watching Rollins like a vulture circling a dying animal. For months, Heyman had been silent. Everyone thought he was out of the game after Roman Reigns' empire fell apart. But silence from Paul Heyman is never peace, it's plotting. The man doesn't sleep. He schemes. He manipulates. He plans betrayals like a composer writing a symphony of chaos. And tonight was his masterpiece. Rollins' voice cracked through the microphone, desperate but still carrying that signature cocky tone that made the crowd love to hate him. Paul, I told you, I'm not Roman. I'm not Brock. I'm Seth freakin' Rollins. You don't use me, I'm the one who runs this show. The crowd cheered wildly, but the camera caught something small, Heyman's lips twitching upward, almost amused. He took a slow step forward, microphone shaking slightly in his hand, and spoke in that low, venomous tone that always carried more power than 1,000 screams. Seth Rollins, Heyman said, his voice slithering through the speakers, you may run this show, but you've forgotten who built the show before you. You've forgotten who creates legends and who destroys them. The crowd started to buzz. A low chant began, we want Brock. We want Brock. Rollins scoffed. You really think he's coming back? That beast is gone, Paul. He's done. He's boom. The arena lights flickered, and the Titantron came alive with a single image, the skull logo. Brock Lesnar's skull. The crowd exploded. Seth froze. His jaw dropped. His hands went weak, the title nearly slipping from his grasp. The commentary team lost it completely. Oh my god, it's him. The beast is back. And then came that sound. That haunting, bone-crushing roar of Lesnar's theme. The kind that doesn't just echo, it shakes the ground. Brock Lesnar walked out, hoodie up, gloves on, that same cold stare that says, I don't care who you are, I'll break you anyway. Heyman looked up at him like a man seeing his creation return from exile. And Rollins? He looked terrified. But more than fear, it was betrayal that cracked across his face like lightning. Because he knew this wasn't a coincidence. Lesnar didn't just show up. Heyman summoned him. As Brock stood at the top of the ramp, Heyman lifted the microphone again, his face calm, almost holy. For years, he said, I gave everything to champions who forgot who made them. Roman forgot. Seth forgot. But Brock Lesnar, he paused, eyes locked on the beast. Brock Lesnar never forgets his purpose. His dominance. His vision. Heyman turned, pointing straight at Rollins. You were supposed to carry the torch, Seth. You were supposed to lead this new generation. But all you did was dance and play dress up while this industry rotted. And now, Heyman smirked. Now, the beast will burn your kingdom to the ground. Brock's music hit again, and he started walking toward the ring, slow, deliberate, the kind of pace that builds fear like a ticking bomb. Rollins yelled for him to stop, shouting over the noise, but Brock didn't even blink. Security ran down the ramp. Brock destroyed them all, one after another, tossing bodies like ragdolls. The crowd was unhinged now, chanting Suplex City, while Heyman watched, hands clasped like a man witnessing prophecy unfold. And then Rollins snapped. He threw down the mic, rolled out of the ring, and grabbed a steel chair. He wasn't about to play victim again. But when he turned back toward the ring, Lesnar was already there. Face to face. The crowd screamed. Rollins swung first. Clang. Chair to Lesnar's arm, nothing. Brock didn't even flinch. Second swing caught. Lesnar grabbed the chair mid-swing, ripped it from Seth's hands, and threw it clear across the ring like a toy. Then bam! He tackled Rollins into the corner with a fury that shook the ropes. Heyman didn't move. He didn't need to. He'd already won. As Lesnar rained down fists, the camera zoomed in on Heyman's face, calm, collected, and proud. This wasn't rage. This was strategy. Heyman didn't just betray Seth Rollins, he reclaimed power. Because when the dust settles in WWE, there's always one truth that never changes: Paul Heyman leads the next era. But here's the twist: this wasn't just a random attack. This had been in motion for weeks. Hidden phone calls. Missed meetings. Seth's sudden paranoia. Every piece now connected. Backstage footage later leaked of Heyman whispering into his phone, saying just one thing before hanging up: bring the beast home. And when Brock showed up, that call became prophecy. Now, the entire WWE universe was divided. Was this revenge for how Rollins beat Lesnar years ago? Or was Heyman building something bigger, a new alliance, a new power structure? Fans online went crazy. #HeymanVision trend for 2 straight days. Rumors exploded that Heyman wasn't just managing again, he was forming a faction. A vision built around Lesnar as the leader. a faction designed to destroy the chaos left behind by the Bloodline and the Judgment Day. And it all started with this one act of betrayal. Rollins was taken backstage after the brutal assault, blood dripping from his mouth, body shaking with rage. He kept shouting the same thing over and over again. He used me. He used me. Meanwhile, Heyman and Lesnar stood in the hallway, the same hallway where the Bloodline once ruled. Reporters tried to get a word. Heyman stopped, turned, and delivered a single line that sent chills through everyone watching. "You can't betray chaos, gentlemen. You replace it." Then he looked up at Lesnar and said softly, "It's time to lead, Brock. It's time to lead the Vision." Lesnar said nothing, just cracked a grin. And that's when you realize this wasn't about revenge. This was about legacy. The Beast was back, not as Heyman's client, but as his chosen successor. The night after the betrayal felt different. The Raw arena wasn't buzzing, it was trembling. Every fan, every superstar, every staff member was whispering the same words. Paul Heyman did it again. The Beast had returned, the Messiah was broken, and a new empire was about to rise. The camera opened backstage. Brock Lesnar sitting in the shadows of the locker room, hoodie pulled low, eyes fixed on nothing but the floor. Next to him stood Paul Heyman, pacing, phone in hand, voice low but urgent. "You don't understand," Heyman hissed into the phone. "This isn't about titles anymore. This is about control. Raw has no leader. The Bloodline is gone. Judgment Day is falling apart. And we will rebuild it all in our image. Brock will lead the Vision. He will become the new Alpha." He paused, then looked toward Brock. The Beast hadn't spoken since the attack. Not one word. Just breathing, deep and cold, like a storm waiting for its cue. Heyman smiled faintly. "And when the Vision begins, there will be no mercy for those who doubted him." He ended the call. Then, in that moment of silence, Brock finally spoke, his voice deep, slow, chilling. "Who's first?" Heyman grinned. "Who else? The man you broke, Seth Rollins." Cut to the arena later that night. Seth Rollins limped to the ring, his ribs bandaged, his face bruised, fury burning behind his eyes. The crowd exploded with chants of "You deserve it," but not out of hate, out of disbelief. Rollins was the broken hero. He grabbed the mic, breathing hard. "You think this is over, Paul? You think I'm gonna crawl away while you and your monster play gods again?" He pointed straight into the camera. "Listen to me, Brock, you should have finished me when you had the chance. Because now, I'm not coming for revenge. I'm coming for everything." The crowd roared. Rollins dropped the mic and left the ring, fury in every step. But backstage, Heyman was already smirking, as if everything Seth said had already been predicted. That night, the main event was supposed to be Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor, but neither man made it to the ring, because Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman interrupted everything. Lesnar's music hit again, that same beastly roar, and the arena lights turned crimson. The crowd went insane as Heyman walked out first, holding a microphone, almost laughing at the chaos he'd created. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "my name is Paul Heyman, and I am here tonight not to introduce a client, but to anoint a leader." He turned toward the ramp. Brock Lesnar walked out, but this time he wasn't alone. Behind him, two unfamiliar figures appeared, masked, dressed in black, standing like soldiers beside their general. Heyman's grin widened. "The Vision has begun." The crowd gasped. Lesnar entered the ring and grabbed the mic from Heyman. He stared dead into the camera, his voice low and rough. "For years, they said I didn't talk enough, that I let Heyman speak for me. But this time, I don't need him to speak. I'll say it myself." He leaned closer. "Raw belongs to me now." He dropped the mic. Suddenly, the masked men attacked, two brutal, efficient takedowns on Cody and Balor backstage on the screen. The Vision was sending a message. No one was safe. Over the next few weeks, Raw descended into chaos. Heyman's vision expanded. The masked men were revealed: Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes, two of NXT's most dominant forces, now completely loyal to Heyman and Lesnar. Together, they became the foundation of the Vision, a new breed of domination built on destruction, discipline, and legacy. Heyman stood in the ring every week, preaching about order through chaos, how the Vision would reshape WWE into something pure, something brutal. He'd raise the mic and say, "Every empire needs a monster to keep it alive. The Bloodline had Roman. The Judgment Day had Finn. The Vision has Brock." The crowd hated it, but they couldn't look away. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins didn't rest. He started recruiting. First came Kevin Owens, someone who hated Lesnar's dominance. Then came GUSO, still haunted by Heyman's manipulation from the Bloodline days. And finally, Sami Zayn, the emotional glue who swore to end Heyman's manipulation once and for all. Together, they formed what fans online started calling the Resistance. Raw became a war zone, the Vision versus the Resistance. One night, backstage chaos erupted. The Vision attacked GUSO, smashing him through equipment crates. Rollins arrived too late. Heyman stood over G's body, smiling calmly. Seth lunged at him, but Brock appeared out of nowhere, slamming him through a wall with a single F5. Heyman leaned down beside Rollins' unconscious body and whispered, "I told you, Seth. You were never the vision, you were the test." Then he left. By this point, the WWE Universe was completely split. Half feared Brock's vision, half wanted Rollins' resistance to win. Social media went insane. #WarForRAW trend every week. Fans argued endlessly, was Heyman saving WWE from chaos, or dragging it back into darkness? Then came the night that changed everything. Raw Vision versus Resistance. Heyman stood in the ring surrounded by his faction. Lesnar, Breakker, and Hayes behind him unshakable. Rollins' team stood opposite Seth, Owens, Zayn, and a returning Drew McIntyre, who'd aligned with them after losing everything to Lesnar years before. The match was chaos from bell to bell. Bodies flying everywhere. Tables shattered. The crowd's roar never stopped. At one point, Seth and Brock met in the center, eyes locked. No words, just fury. Seth threw the first punch. Brock countered. Suplex. Curb stomp. Another suplex. Stomp again. It was like watching two gods try to erase each other from existence. Then, the final moment, Heyman slid a steel chair into the ring. Seth reached for it. Brock grabbed it first. Heyman shouted, "Finish him." But then something unexpected happened. Brock froze. He looked down at the chair, then up at Heyman, and for the first time, he hesitated. The crowd erupted. Rollins looked shocked. Heyman yelled again, "Do it." Brock's jaw tightened. He threw the chair aside. Then he turned an F5D Braun Breaker instead. Heyman's face went pale. Lesnar grabbed the mic, breathing hard. "I don't follow visions," he growled. "I am the vision." Then he turned to Heyman and the crowd exploded as Brock lifted him up and delivered an F5 through the announce table. The vision was over. The next week, Heyman appeared on SmackDown neckbrace, furious, defeated. He said only one thing: "I created gods, and every single one of them destroyed me." Meanwhile, Rollins stood in the Raw ring again, broken but proud. He looked into the camera and said, "The vision's dead, the beast's gone, and I'm still standing, because you can't lead with fear, only fire." The crowd chanted, "Thank you, Seth." But the camera cut backstage one last time. A dark room, a hooded figure watching the replay of Brock turning on Heyman. He muttered a single line: "The vision never dies, it evolves." The screen flickered, and the last thing shown was a new symbol, the same skull as Brock's, but with a serpent's tail wrapped around it.